Hey, my name is Alina from TankSpot, and in this video I'll show you one of the new instances available in Uldum called Halls of Origination. Halls of Origination is aimed at players level 84 and 85, and the mobs in it range up to level 87. There are a total of 7 main bosses and 4 mini bosses in this instance, so you can imagine it's a little bit lengthy. Now those are the first few trash bolts here, and there are not really very many special things to them. However, there are hunters, as you see the target with a circle right here. They often charge an aimed shot at somebody that actually pretty much hurts. So you do want to CC and interrupt the aim shot. See, they put a little arrow on the person that they're targeting, like me here. Yeah, you definitely want to interrupt that. Also, you do want to use CC in the new instances, at least in the beta, presumably at the start of the expansion, maybe even later on in the expansion. But from what we can tell right now, CC is your friend once more. You might also be able to tell that mana is an issue again for most of the classes. The boomkin right next to me here definitely has lots of mana issues throughout the instance. I'm kind of starting to learn how to manage my mana, so it's getting a little bit better. Now, as you can see, you can skip that group to our right over there. You can pick either of them really and just kill one of them and then move on up the stairs. Obviously you can also kill them if you want to, but why bother, right? So this is the last trash pool before the first boss. Again, we're just seeing one of them. Not really necessary when there's only 2 mobs, but why make life harder? Now the first boss is called Temple Guardian Anhur. He's not terribly tough. He has a few abilities. One of them is he puts a beam on a random person, anyone standing in the area of the blue fire on the ground. Let's see. Oh, right. Get out of the blue fire on the ground. Pretty straightforward. Also, every once in a while, I think twice during the battle, he'll put a bubble around himself. There's 2 switches down on the ground that need to be clicked when that happens. So you want to have 1 or 2 people going downstairs to hit both switches. Once both switches are hit, Anhur will become vulnerable again. It needs to be interrupted because he's channeling an AoE ability that hurts everybody up there. So someone up there needs to interrupt Anhur as soon as both switches are hit, and he'll come free and run after the tank, wherever the tank may be. Which is also why we have him up here right now, because our tank is the one that went downstairs to hit the switches. Also, the snakes that you see, they're from downstairs. They respawn every time he puts up his bubble, so people that are going downstairs will have a few snakes trailing after them. So do make sure they're set up with heals and whatnot while they're coming back up. Line of sight may be an issue. If you're a priest, you can life grip the person in question back up to where you are, as long as you're within a 30-yard range. However, it might disorient them, and there's a chance that they might just fall down again, because that's what people do when they get life gripped. The snakes put an undispellable debuff on whoever gets hit by them that makes them take periodic damage. So you definitely want to make sure to kill the snakes, because otherwise the damage becomes a lot. Anhur does not have an enrage or anything of the sort, so make sure you kill him in a timely fashion. When he dies, the gate on the other side opens. So now we're moving on up to, hooray, more trash. As you can see, there's a teleporter in the background there. Kind of looks like the Ulduar teleporters. This whole instance kind of does a little. It's kind of like a mix between Ulduar and ancient Egypt. Anyway, obviously kill the trash. Don't use the teleporter right now. There are a few more bosses here that we want to kill first. Up to the left, you have a little corridor of mobs. Obviously, in 2 packs, you don't necessarily have to CC. It just makes your healer's life easier. So if you have any kind of heart at all in your buddy, you probably do want a CC. Also, as you can tell, these have a lot of health, and our DPS is not the best this run. Most of our DPS is 83, 84, and is definitely very far from any sort of hit cap. Anyway, once these trash packs die, you get to another gate, and at the gate you'll be reunited with yet another old friend, Bran Bronzebeard, which you probably remember from a lot of Wrath quests, and instances for that matter. Of course, Bran's job is to open doors, so here he goes once more. Now this is what I affectionately call the Trog Room. There are a lot of Trog trash groups. They respawn on a really fast timer, and on each of those little ledges there's one of the little 4 mini bosses that I talked about. One's fire, one's water, one's earth, and the other one's air. So they all have their little tiny abilities. The fire guy does a little fire nova thing, so if you're melee you might want to get out when he does that. Other than that, he really doesn't do much, except Trogs that spawn on the really fast timer have a tendency to get in the way while you're fighting the mini bosses. He has quite a bit of health, but as I mentioned, our DPS is really not the best right now, so kills take a lot longer than they typically would. Now here we're approaching the wind guy. What he does is he has those little cyclone things that follow people. You might remember the wind boss in Zulaman if you played in BC. It's kind of the same deal, except when you get hit by a cyclone here, you take some damage, you get catapulted up in the air, but you do actually slow fall back down, so there's no fall damage that you take. It doesn't seem terribly bad to get hit by it. Not sure how the heroic version is going to be, but considering these are the mini bosses, it probably won't be too bad even then. I do hope they will drop patches though. Anyway, once we're done with the wind guy, we kind of make our way to the second set of mini bosses that are up ahead. Of course there's more Trogs on the way, and the Boomkin in this group has an incredible attraction towards Starfall, which in turn attracts a lot more Trogs. Lot more Trogs. So this is the water boss. What he does is he pops those little puddles on the ground. Obviously don't stand in them. Other than that, he also puts a water bubble on a random party member that needs to be targeted by the DPS and killed. The person that has a bubble on them cannot do anything, so it's especially bad if it's your tank or your healer that gets targeted with it. So yeah, just DPS them out of it right away. Once he's dead, Bran lets you know that you have one more boss left, which is the Earth guy. The Earth guy has one ability, which is those gigantic spikes. He'll turn around facing a random party member, which is when you know that a spike's gonna come your way, at least if he's facing you. So when he does that, just get out of his line of sight, or out of his face rather, and that's pretty much the whole fight. Spikes and tank damage. Once you kill him as well, you have now killed all the mini bosses, which means that the main boss is popping in the middle of the room. He'll eliminate all the leftover chalks, so you're finally done with that. Now this boss is called Unrefat, and he basically has two abilities. One's his Alpha Stance and the other one's his Omega Stance. Alpha Stance is what he's in for most of the battle. This is the Omega Stance, I'll get to that in a second. In Alpha Stance, he'll put random little purple bubbles on random party members that you have to get out of. They do a lot of damage, tick periodically. He also does high tank damage. Then every once in a while he'll do his Omega Stance, which is this, which just does a whole lot of damage to every party member. Distance does not matter on this, so you'll need to break out your really big heal. It's Divine Hymn in my case, Tranquility for a Druid, and whatever else there is. He's not terribly hurt, and once he's dead, you can advance more. As you can see, there's another teleporter. This time you click it twice and you end up at yet another tunnel. This one's a really evil tunnel too. There's a bunch of beetles in here. Beetles do terribly high tank damage because they reduce the tank's armor. Also, they knock people back and some of them even disorient you. The second pack has an undead that can be shackled or otherwise CC'd, which you should be doing because the beetles, as mentioned, do a heck of a lot of damage. So you don't want to have anything else interfering as well. The third pack is the same setup. Undead pops on the other side. Beetles are still annoying as ever. You probably don't want to stand as close to them as I am here, although I am not entirely sure whether it actually matters. They do tend to knock players back when they first attack them, so it definitely would be helpful to stand at the back if you're the healer. I should take my own advice more often. Now here we are coming up on the third boss, which is kind of a fire earth kind of boss. Few undead pods on the way. They die very slowly, they don't do a whole lot of things. You see camels sliding around in the background. You can actually ride those during the boss battle. I'm not sure if they're involved in the boss battle tactics at all. They don't seem to do much of anything right now except look very funny, and you can slide around on them and cast while you're moving. They also die pretty quickly. Anyway, meet Earth Rager Ta. As you can see, he looks like Lord Marigar, only with fire. Groundbreaking. Anyway, this boss has two phases. First phase is his ground phase, I suppose. He just kind of spams random fire abilities on people that do seem to be unavoidable, so you just kind of have to heal through them. Lightwell obviously is your friend if you're a priest. Second phase is an ad phase, so everybody kind of should stack up on the tank, so the tank gets aggro on them all and then just AoE him down. At least that's what we've been doing. Once he's back up, he'll switch back and do the fire thingy again, fire rain thingy. And really that's all he does. Rinse and repeat. Once he's dead, there'll be another teleporter in the back room. So just move on up there, take the teleporter, and you'll end up at yet another intersection with 4 bosses this time. First of the bosses is Isiset. She's an arcane elemental sort of boss. There are a few arcane elementals as trash pulls right before her. Don't do very much. The portal randomly puts a beam on the ground that chases a random person, kind of like Kologarn's ability. You want to get away from it when you can. It does periodic damage, obviously. If you have CC available, such as an elemental shaman's... No, such as a shaman's bind elemental, that way around, feel free to use it. Hunter traps, obviously, does help a lot. Now Isiset herself has a few different abilities. One of them is the beam she fires every once in a while, where everybody has to look away from her, else they take damage and get disoriented, kinda like the guy in TOC. So when the emote appears, just look away from her. Then a few times during the battle she'll split into 3 Isisets. Tank has to get threat on all 3 of them. You should establish a kill order so he can actually keep threat on all of them. After all the copies die, she'll fuse together once more, and the faces just kind of repeat like that. As a healer, you can just stay faced away the entire time. Tank damage is moderate to high, especially during the split phases, so definitely watch your mana as much as you can. Put up a light well so other people can heal themselves if you're a priest. And hopefully, if your DPS is decent,